Hello everyone and welcome to another Star Citizen video. This one is something. This one is about the Forbes article that came out, I guess, a day ago, 2 days ago, depending on when this is uploaded. And it's something, man. It's something. So basically it's just going to be a reaction to my video. I'm going to go through a few parts of it and discuss what I like and what I don't like about the article, and mostly what I don't like. So what I do want to say is that anyone that doesn't know me, and this may be your first video watching me, is I've been very critical of Star Citizen's development over the years. I've been described as extremely salty more times than I can count. And while that is true at times, I definitely do believe in Chris Roberts' vision, and I do believe in the project, but I also don't necessarily understand some of the steps along the way, and it's been frustrating to be a backer over the years. So this article is certainly very critical, but is a very, very interesting way to go about it. So without further ado, let's just jump into the article. Right out of the gate, the author comes out punching with some weirdly skewed numbers and dates. Stating the average backer of the game has spent $200 when on the website, if you do the math, it's under $100. But we do have a French interview / article from 2016 that gives a little bit more insight into accounts versus backer numbers. So it's actually kind of unclear what the average number is, the number of backers. Those numbers really aren't public anywhere from research that I've done. So the 300 million in the title, which comes from adding the 242 million of funding plus the 46 million of investment from the investor, kind of adds up to 288 million, which is close to 300. So they put that in the title, and then we as backers have spent 220 million on the game. So I don't know where the other 20 million comes from. And then it's just very clear that for the article's purpose, the numbers tend to be larger for effect. So just let's look at that right now, which right away made me start to discredit the article. And I will link that Huffington Post in the description so you guys can take a look. There's going to be quite a few links in the description, and I'll put them in order of discussion in this video. And speaking of things that are making me discredit this article right away, in the very next paragraph, the author describes other employees at the company who were helping Chris at the most recent CitizenCon as his underlings. And I'm just starting to wonder what this article even is and what the point of it even is. But when we start to get to the next part, I start to realize what's going on a little bit. And the author starts to talk about what we have in the game now versus kind of what was promised. And I quote, "Rough playable modes, alphas, not betas, are used to raise hopes and illustrate work being done, and Roberts has enticed gamers with a steady stream of hype, including promising a vast, playable universe with 100 star systems. But most of the money is gone, and the game is still far from finished. At the end of 2017, for example, Roberts was down to just $14 million in the bank. He has since raised more money. Those 100 star systems, he's not completed a single one. So far, he has 2 mostly finished planets, 9 moons, and an asteroid." And, first off, we as backers, them as developers, we don't have nearly as much as we want in this game. We are not content with what is there. And if you are, I don't know what you backed this game for. We backed the game for its potential. And it hasn't achieved its potential yet. That is very, very clear. But the technical hurdles to get us there have been explained to us in both YouTube videos and Spectrum posts, specifically on how to make the full star system, and then how each star system will have multiple servers that make it work. And although I have zero confidence that before some sort of a release, we will have 100 star systems, I'm still confident that in their confidence that they can complete the proof of concept that Star Citizen can be completed. And this next part of the article is one of the more logical parts of the article, and there aren't many. But the the crowdfunding description as being a little bit of a Wild West situation or a Wild West situation is seemingly quite true to me, and it really kind of woke me up a little bit. I'm going to put up the Kickstarter terms of use here, and this is section number 5, where it kind of describes your kind of sort of what you should expect from a Kickstarter company, and so long as they, attempt and do things in good faith and keep you updated, everything's basically fine. And that's something to be slightly concerned about, I would say, which just basically tells you really need to do your due diligence before you spend your money. The initial package for Star Citizen isn't very big, but it's still money. So before you spend it, before you waste it, make sure you know what you're getting into. And Star Citizen is definitely an alpha situation that is not the best to enjoy right now. It's not a game that you go into and play every day. And with that said, I come from the gaming industry, and the casino gaming industry, for those of you guys that don't know me personally. And something that's said on the tables very often is, don't come to the table without money that you're comfortable losing. And the same should go for a Kickstarter situation. And I'm going to be jumping around in the article a little bit more from here on out. And later in the article, they speak to a backer who attempted a refund of $4,500 and failed. They did not give him his refund. And he kind of describes the game as, like, if you spend too much money on a game, that's bad. And I'm paraphrasing here for sure. But they also glorify the rewards for spending a lot of money on the game. For high-level backers, the rewards are kind of glorified. And I get that part, because anytime a new ship comes out, and even some of the rewards, like, I don't know, the Million Mile High Club, like, I feel left out because I'm not a part of it, right? Or I didn't buy this ship, and one thing that tends to happen is, as a new concept ship comes out, the other ships in that concept ship's class tend to not be as cool anymore. And I don't know if it's just because it's a new thing, or it's because they're better at their job of concept artisting these ships. But it's something that I feel like I want the ship every time it comes out. But I have some self-control and I don't buy them. But not everybody has that kind of self-control, and it's not CIG's fault necessarily that you don't. So if you do have a lack of self-control, maybe speak to somebody and get some help, because I really wish they didn't speak to just this one backer, and I wish they spoke to quite a few, because just speaking to this one who clearly has an issue with compulsiveness, it would have been nice to hear from a few other people, and again, it really helps to discredit this article for me, personally. And next, they go into describing Chris's like working environments, how he's kind of like a pain in the ass and a perfectionist and a micromanager and a dreamer, I guess. And I kind of get it that, working on a game that's ambitious as this is probably a really high stress environment. And I would imagine that not everybody works well in environments like this. Some people do, some people don't. And I don't want to dumb down the fact that there's 20 employees that they interviewed and that they don't work there anymore. They're 20 former employees. They didn't interview anybody that works there now. So I'm making a little bit of an assumption here, but maybe those 20 employees didn't work well in that kind of environment. And maybe the people that work there now do. They interviewed 20 people that don't work there, but they interviewed 0 of the 537 people that do. And, we're kind of getting a theme of my video here, but it's not a very balanced article, it feels like to me. It just doesn't feel like a very balanced article because of who they're speaking to and who they're quoting versus who they're not speaking to and not quoting. And I would have loved to see them speak to some current people that work there and talk about the environment that they currently work in now. And, obviously that would be, they're not going to say anything to cause themselves to lose a job or anything, obviously. But at the same time, 20 people that don't work there anymore, you might get some people who don't like the situation that they were in. and we don't know why they left, all sorts of things. So this part of the article just it just continues to help discredit it for me personally. And then the article starts to get really weird, where they dive super and uncomfortably, in my opinion, deep into Chris and his wife Sandy's personal life. And Sandy does work at the company. She is, I believe, the head of marketing. I don't know everybody's titles exactly. But they get really personal and I'm not going to share this on this video at all. Obviously, the link will be there, and it will be in a archived form, so we're not giving any more clicks for this specific reason personally. And the personal life stuff I don't quite understand. Chris's past business practices, I sort of do, but very much sort of, because there's a lot of things that you need to assume in this. So let's jump into this a little bit. Chris, when he was making movies, funded his movies through a German fund, and this German guy who ran the fund was arrested for tax evasion. Now, they tie it together with Chris's lawyer, and one of the execs at Star Citizen, Ortwin, is German, and they worked with this German guy who funded their movies, and he did bad things, so therefore they're bad. And I think you have to make a lot of assumptions that they knew where the money was coming from, and that he was evading taxes and all sorts of things. So I will link to the article of that actual person's arrest in the description and allow you to make your own assumptions and opinions on this. But it definitely allows you to, look back at Chris's history as a businessman and say maybe it's not as clean cut as we may have thought it is, but at the same time, you have to make some insane assumptions to get there. So I don't necessarily understand why he really brings that up, but what I think he's trying to do is discredit Chris a bit to bring up this specific point. And he starts talking about when they shared their financial stuff at the end of 2018. And they share up to 2017, obviously, in that financial report. And we will share that with you guys as well in the description below, so you guys can check it out yourselves if you've never seen it before. But where he's kind of going with this is Chris never shares what he makes, what Sandy makes, what Aaron makes, or to be honest, what any individual employee makes. And I don't really expect to ever find that out. But at the same time, it is always something that I've wondered about, is I wonder how much Chris pays himself. And in this article, he's I think the author says that Chris says that he pays himself similar to what other C-level or CEO, CFO employees at a game company would make. Now, I will link to you guys to a article from Kotaku who shows what some CEOs at AAA companies make. What we don't know is, does Chris pay himself what those guys make, or does he pay himself what other people make? It's really hard to say with that description of what he actually makes. And while it is somewhat relevant, it's also not super important so long as they keep hiring employees and they keep making the game. Now, this is my favorite part of the article, but for more comedic relief reasons, is they speak to a prominent game developer named Jesse Schell, who's also a professor at Carnegie Mellon University, a very good university, obviously. And I will link his Wikipedia in the description below. Now, from what I see, he hasn't really worked on any AAA titles, so we're going to paraphrase what he says here, and he says, Star Citizen is nuts, and 7 years of development isn't normal, and that's just not how it works. I really wish they spoke to a few more developers than just this one, and I really wish they spoke to developers who were more in the AAA genre than he is. So, again, it really just does not help give this article any credibility for me at all, and the timeline comment is the one that sticks with me the most. Is I'm going to post a little chart up here and talk about a game that's on that list and a game that's not on that list. And the game that's not on that list is Grand Theft Auto 5. That was in development for 5 years. Rockstar had 1,000 employees at the start of its development, 360 of which was at one studio where the core work of the game was done by that studio. Now, what's great about these big studios is they share assets between all their other studios, right? So there's no way that out of the 1,000 total employees at Rockstar, that some of them maybe didn't create assets and help out on GTA's development, right? Now, games like this, as well as Diablo, which was in development for 11 years, also an established studio, get compared to Star Citizen on their timelines, and I think sort of unfairly. Yes, the day the Kickstarter started was around the time that Star Citizen's development started. Has Star Citizen been in development for 8 years or whatever? Sure, but a lot of the times people are comparing Star Citizen's development to a game like GTA, where Star Citizen had 5 employees on the day that they started development, where GTA had 1,000. It's just not really fair to make those comparisons. Now, throughout Star Citizen's development, they've definitely attempted to outsource, and one of those attempts were in this article, and that employee wasn't very happy with the working relationship that he had, and with the feature creep that's come about, right? And fine, I understand that. And Star Citizen has a terrible image. It really does. It has a bad image with gamers. It has a bad image with even game developers. And for a little comic relief, we will watch a quick little video from a game that I'm really excited about, Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, who was a Wing Commander fan and played Freelancer and all sorts of games like that from Chris, and kind of pokes fun at the project a little bit. And this is a lighter side of things, but some devs really do poke at Star Citizen pretty heavily, so let's take a look real quick.
Like loud music, big, greasy explosions, ridiculously unrealistic spaceflight, seedy bars, dingy billiards tables, and exceptionally sexy aliens, then this might just be the game you're looking for. Please send $1,000 to Double Damage Games to receive an image of the ship you'd like to eventually buy in our game once we finish designing it, and we'll get you on the list. Nah, I'm just with you. The game will be $30.
All right, so let's kind of tie all this together a little bit and talk about what the actual problem with Cloud Imperium is and why I think this article exists. And I'm going to kind of end the video with where I think an article like this comes from. And where I think it really comes from is the expectations that Cloud Imperium sets for itself, and therefore we set for them. And this article is a really, really prime example of that, where Chris gets quoted saying, Star Citizen is a playable game. It has more functionality and content than a lot of finished games. Yes, Chris, that is true. If you compare it to all of the crappy games on Steam that are unfinished in early access, developed by 3 people, and have very little gameplay loops or functionality in them. But if you compare it to games that you should compare, a AAA Star Citizen, a game like Star Citizen 2, it doesn't hold up to any of them, right? Or very few at the very least, where it kind of makes your quote a little weird to me. And this is part of the problem for me, where a lot of the marketing material, the YouTube videos, and the things that are put out to the community imply that the game is more complete and more playable and more functional than it actually is. So when a player goes into the game and actually experiences it, it's not as enjoyable and it upsets them. And I think that's what creates the hate that inevitably makes an article like this. And it's just simply taking the good with the bad. And Star Citizen is developed openly, and we wouldn't be where we were if it wasn't, right? So Star Citizen community, when you watch this video, I hope what we learn from this is that we have to take the good with the bad. And the good, we have this wonderful community. We all embrace each other, have a lot of fun, and enjoy whatever functionality is in the game with each other when we can. But what we do get sometimes is articles like this. And we can't go all crazy and get upset and freak out because things like this happen, because this is what's going to happen when you develop a game openly. It just kind of is what it is. Star Citizen started as one thing in 2012 and transformed into something completely different today. And there was a time where Chris presented us with, you guys gave a lot of money, I want to make something really special. Do you want to be there with me? And I was there at that time, and we all said yes. And we all, that's not the 2 million backers that are here now. That's whoever was there at that time. And I can't remember dates or anything like that, but there was basically like something that was written out there by Chris. It was like probably a $1 million milestone, some millions at that time. And I was on board for that, and I'm still on board. And we just have to deal with the good and the bad. And I'm going to kind of leave you guys with this, and I've tried to think about this through this entire process of making this video, is why was this article written? And I really feel like the author was probably a backer and was not happy with the pace of development. And nobody's more upset with the pace of development than me. I thought when I backed this game in 2013 that I'd be playing it with my friends right now. And this was before I ever started YouTube and Twitch, right? And obviously there's factors there that bum me out that, on my Star Citizen YouTube channel and Twitch channel are very tied towards Star Citizen as a game being successful. And sure, but at the same time is I watch the YouTube videos, I read the Spectrum posts, and I inform myself on this Kickstarter project and what I'm getting myself into. And what I know is that there are some really big hurdles that are ahead of them, but they know how to achieve them, and it's just a matter of doing it now. So we're waiting for things like server-side OCS, right? We waited for OCS, we have great frame rates. Now we're waiting for server-side OCS, and let's see what improvements come with that. So with that said, Star Citizen community, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you liked it, leave a like. And if you have something else you want to add and about what you thought about the video and what you thought about some of my comments, leave a comment. And subscribe for more videos like this in the future. And I will see you guys in the next video.